In today's video, we are going to be solving systems of equations using the elimination method. And more specifically, we're going to be adding and subtracting these systems in order to solve for the variables. So just a reminder, system of equations, right? A system is two or more equations with two or more different variables, okay? And the ones we'll be seeing are just going to have two variables and two equations, all right, x and y. So when you're solving systems of equations, the goal is to isolate one of the variables in order to solve for the one of them, and then you're going to plug it back in to find the other variable. So our goal is to eventually get a scenario where we have just one variable to solve. Now, if you take a look at this system right here, both of these equations are in standard form. Standard form means that you have the x term, the y term equals the constant. All right, x term plus or minus the y term equals the constant. So these are both in standard form. And what we can do is we could either add or subtract these and determine based on their coefficients, the numbers out in front, and that will let us eliminate one of the variables. So in this example right here, if I line these up vertically and I add them, you notice if I add these terms together, the negative 3x plus 3x is 0x, and they actually just cancel here. So that's why it's called the elimination method. If I add negative 2y and negative 5y, it's negative 7y. And if I add 36 and 6, it is 42. So I eliminated the x terms. I got my y term by itself. And now what I can do is solve for y using the one-step equations, right? So we can just divide both sides by negative 7. And my y is negative 6. So I know the y value in my system is going to be negative 6. Now, when you solve a system, you need the x value and the y value. You're not done as soon as you solve for one of the variables. You have to plug it back in to one of the equations in order to solve for the other variable. Now, I tried to plug in ones with less negatives in it. So I'm going to plug it. It doesn't really matter what you plug in. You could plug it in this one or you could plug it in this one. All you have to do is make sure that you are careful when you're plugging in. That's why I always put parentheses when I substitute something back in. So I'm going to sub it back into this equation in for y and then figure out what my x value is. So we have 3x minus 5, and I always put parentheses when I substitute something in. And now I'm going to solve this. Negative 5 and negative 6 is positive 30. Minus 30 from both sides. I'm going to get negative 24. Divide both sides by 3. And I'm going to get my answer is x is negative 8. So I found my two variables, my x and my y. So my answer, again, would be a set of coordinates, because if you were going to solve this graphically, this would pop up. This would it would show you where they intersect. So negative 8, negative 6 would be my solution. So make sure at the end you write your coordinates. And you could double check in the calculator, right? 3x, so 3 times negative 6, I'm sorry, 3 times negative 8 minus 5 times negative 6. Let's do that. So we have 3 times negative 8 and minus 5 times negative 6. That is 6 ohm. And then I could do the same thing, negative 3x minus 2y. So negative 3 times negative 8 minus 2 times negative 6. And that is 36. I think that said 36. Yep, it worked there. Okay. And also, too, if you graph these, we haven't talked about graphing in standard form, but if you graph these, this is where they would intersect on the graph. All right, let's take a look at another problem. Boom, right here. Okay, now careful with these. If I add these together, right, 5x plus 5x, that is 10x. They don't cancel. Same thing here. These don't cancel either. So instead of adding in this one, I actually have to subtract. Now, when I subtract this whole thing, that means it changes the signs. To negative 5x plus 1y. I'm going to put the 1 there just so you remember. And negative 36. So when I subtract that, you're just changing the signs of each of the terms inside the equation. Now I can eliminate the x's. And I have 2y plus 1y, which is 3y. 18 minus 36 is negative 18. Divide both sides by 3. And I get x, or y, excuse me, be careful. Y is negative 6. All right, again, I have to plug it back in to solve for x. I'm going to plug into the top one. Last one I plugged into the bottom, I'll plug into the top one. Show you it works for both scenarios. So you have 2 times negative 6, which is negative 12. Add 12 to both sides. And I get my 5x is 30. Divide both sides by 5. And running out of room. So my answer is 6. So my solution then, you have 6, you got negative 6, your solution is 6, negative 6. All right, you don't have to write solution. I just want you to see that that is what it actually is in parentheses. Make sure it's in parentheses with a comma in between. Okay, let's look at one more. All right, let's see. Do we have to add or subtract these? Now, notice with this one, the x's or the y's, right? If I add or subtract them, they don't cancel. But then if I look at the y's, oh, here we go here. These could cancel if I add or subtract. So it doesn't always have to be the x's that cancel. It could be also the y's. All right, so now in this one, I noticed that they're the same thing, negative 10y and negative 10y. If I combine those by adding, they would be negative 20y, but I need to subtract them in order to change the signs. So my new system is going to be 1x minus 10y is 18, the same thing on the top, but 6y, or 6x, excuse me, plus 6x plus 10y. Now those will cancel, and negative 32. Make sure you do it to all the terms. All right, so now the y's cancel. 1x plus 6x is 7x. 18 minus 32 is negative 14. Divide both sides by 7. And I get my x is negative 2. All right, I'm going to plug in the top one. Bam. So 1 times negative 2, right? It was just really negative 2. Minus 10y is 18. Again, make sure you're plugging into the correct variable, all right? X is this. You have to plug in an X on here. Don't plug it into Y. It'll mess you all up. All right. Add 2 to both sides. 2-step equation. You get negative 10y is 20. Divide both sides by negative 10. And you get your y is negative 2. So my solution is negative 2, and same thing, negative 2. Negative 2. Negative 2 is my solution. Okay? So, and when you're doing these problems, see if you could add or subtract them. Okay, when you subtract, you have to change all the signs of one of the equations. And also, you could be eliminating x, or you could be eliminating y. It doesn't have to be just one letter or the other. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and always remember, whether you're solving for x or y, always give math a try.